Hello. In this lesson, we're going to talk about imagery and visualization. Okay? So this really ties in with descriptive writing, which we'll be doing this quarter. When you're writing descriptive pieces, and when you're writing narratives, let's say you're describing the setting of your story, of your narrative, you want to describe it in such a way that the reader is able to imagine the setting of your story just as if it were like a movie in their head. Okay? The only way to do that is to be very descriptive in your writing, and we have several different techniques that we can use to be descriptive. Okay? And one of them is through the use of imagery. Okay? So imagery refers to words or phrases that appeal to one or more of our five senses. All right? And imagery helps us imagine or visualize what's happening in the story. So again, as I said, a good author will use imagery very effectively in such a way that when we're reading their story, we're really able to visualize almost like we're experiencing what's going on. Okay, we can kind of not just see the setting, but we almost can imagine ourselves there in the story. Okay, it's not just that we can see what's going on, but maybe we can smell the scents that are in the air, or really hear the sounds and the noises that are occurring in the story. Or maybe if the character's eating something, we could, it's being described so well that we can almost taste the food that they're eating. Okay, so again, imagery appeals to, where can I put this? Maybe right there. Appeals to the five senses. So we use words, adjectives normally, which will appeal to sight, hearing, smell, taste, or touch. Okay. Now, words that appeal to things that we can see, we call that visual. Okay, or you can call it sight, is okay. So we might describe the colors of objects, different patterns, shapes, sizes, as it says here. If we describe things in our writing that can be smelled, we call that olfactory, but you can just call it smell if you want. Okay, so nice fragrances or even bad odors. Okay, so perhaps you're writing about a character walking through a field of beautifully scented flowers or something like that, and you can describe the smell. Growing up, I always remember the scent of lilacs as I walked past my grandmother's house. So if I were writing a story, I might include something about the smell of lilacs and how that made me feel. Okay, something along those lines. Gustatory refers to taste. Okay, so perhaps you're describing your favorite meal, and maybe you want to use words like sour, sweet, bitter, salty, etc., those types of adjectives to describe the food that you're eating. Tactile, that refers to touch. How does something feel? What's the texture? Okay, is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it soft? Is it hard? Auditory refers to things that we can hear. Okay, music, but if you're going to describe music, you can describe the rhythm. Okay, you can describe the specific sounds that you hear. Okay, or perhaps you want to describe, I don't know, the noise at night when I go to sleep. I always hear the insects outside. Sometimes I hear dogs barking, or the thunder crashing if it's rainy season. All right. Now, you don't necessarily need to remember all of these big words here, like auditory, tactile, gustatory, olfactory. You can just call them by their common names: sight, taste, touch, hear, smell, etc. Okay. So once again, when we write descriptive pieces, or when we write narratives and we want to describe the setting, one of the techniques we can use to help the reader visualize is imagery, which are words that appeal to our five senses. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Thank you very much for listening.